Often we tend to alienate us from the group of people that we're targeting. We think we know everything about them. The fact is that our base hypotheses often should be revised. Never in history has culture and habits changed as much as they do now, and thereby also our targets. I discovered that market research is often conducted the same way it was done 10 years ago, and that companies pay fortune for useless reports conducted by people that see their clients as account numbers, all instead of showing them real interest in the challenges and opportunities that the brand is facing. And being just a case number is not good enough when the next goal is to find the next multi-million-dollar idea. This was one of the key factors why I founded a new type of market research agency called Find Out, where quality is more important than pushing as many studies through a system as possible. I call it exploring exploration, because it's often all about thinking differently about how we collect data and use it later. Remember that a very good idea is often built on 50% data and 50% intuition and design. And the methodologies that we use are a mixture of traditional and new ones. Let me tell you about some of the things that I prefer to see being done in fieldwork. First of all, finding out where the targets are, where the assumed target moves, lives, and what they do. Ethnographic studies conducted in a natural way where the target feels relaxed and open. Observations and hands-on focus groups, having people interact a much more natural way than just talking to a mirror wall. We mix this with qualitative studies and innovation labs. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later. But the essence is that through thinking different and using new methodologies, one can reveal new, deep insights on both new and existing targets. I personally found that for years Fortune 500 companies had overlooked the fact that their key targets had changed or a new one had developed, and this was not shown in their regular conducted research, simply because it didn't scout for these life-critical changes that a brand must adapt to. Use your eyes to determine the key hypotheses, to be further explored and examined in the next steps of the process. But first, let me give you a few small tricks on what I personally use in order to explore exploration. The first one I call Be Smart, Play Dumb. Travel economy class, at least for trips under 6 hours. It's in economy class that most FMCG brand customers are when they travel. Recently, I deliberately sat on economy class between Mexico City and Chicago, and I conducted a 4-hour market research session with 3 people that sat around me. Exactly my target for an assignment I had for a client on the Hispanic market in the US. And I can tell you that the insight I found on that trip were tremendous and mind-opening to some of the hypotheses that could later be tested further with great results. I was once asked how one can determine a country's culture, and my answer was very simple: in the supermarket. Real life is not to be found in a hotel lobby or in a fancy museum. One of the first things I do when I come to a new country is to take a cab and go to a couple of supermarkets. Why? Because a supermarket is the only place where you can see contemporary design, often more than 40,000 of its kind, and get inspiration for new innovations and see life. I met a vice president for a Fortune 500 company that I was going to assist together with my team in creating a groundbreaking new innovation. And I asked him to join me at the supermarket. And during our walk and observation, he told me that it had been more than 3 years since he was in a supermarket. It was a revelation for him. We need to be where our target is going and where they live their lives. Observe it and look for the very small details. Use our eyes to create hypotheses. These exercises will not only make you a real explorer, but also prepare you for one of the most important steps in making innovation and marketing successful: finding new horizons.